Well, that was a well-done piece of original content by our team of meteorologists here at WCNC. Hopefully you didn't miss the weather impact special on hurricanes, the weather or Hurricane IQ special that we just had from our team of meteorologists. If you did miss it, this is what this platform is for. You can go back and stream it whenever you would like. We're going to be in this season for quite some time, so download WCNC Plus. I'm sure if you are listening and watching tonight, you already have it downloaded, but tell a friend or a family member about the original content that we are putting on WCNC Plus. That way that they know, and then they're ready and prepared for the hurricane season that we are already in. About an hour ago, actually, we just got an update from Jesse Pierre, who has been intensely following the situation in Hickory, that mass shooting at that pool party. We knew that one person was arrested earlier today on an attempted first-degree murder charge, Garen Killian, but now we're getting more information, and now potentially a total of 5 different suspects. We have a mugshot here. This is Patrick Lee Tolbert on the left. I do believe he is still wanted for aiding and abetting, and I am not for sure. Jeb, do you know? This is Craig. Okay, so the other person is Raekwon Malik Craig. That is on the right side of your screen. Now, we are told he was arrested. This just happened tonight. Again, that information coming within the last hour or so. He is charged with aiding and abetting, the same thing that Patrick Lee Tolbert, the man to the left, who is wanted, is on a charge from police. And then when we have 3 other suspects, we have Garen Killian, who we discussed today, who is arrested, the first person arrested, and arrested on an attempted first-degree murder charge. There's Keandre O'Neal Mack, who is also wanted for attempted first-degree murder. We do not have a mugshot of this person just yet because they are obviously not in the system to be able to procure that. But we also know that Toland Huff is another person being wanted or looked for at this hour, and that person is also charged with attempted first-degree murder. So these charges stem from this shooting. I'm only seeing 2 different charges: attempted first-degree murder for 3 individuals, and then aiding and abetting for 2 other individuals. Now, 3 wanted people at this hour. Again, I'll go through them again. Garen Killian is the man first arrested on an attempted first-degree murder. The next person arrested that we just got information from Hickory PD was Raekwon Malik Craig. That person on the right, Patrick Lee Tolbert, is on the left, but he is wanted. Police are still searching for that individual on aiding and abetting. Raekwon Malik Craig, aiding and abetting as well. The other 3 are charged with attempted first-degree murder. So, of course, we will be headlining this information on our linear station, our linear stream, of course, tonight over on WCNC tonight at 11 o'clock. So we will make sure to get this information for you, and at the same time, apparently we're getting more information from police on a little bit more on the nuances of what happened. We had heard multiple shooters at this party, so I think this is becoming clearer to us as the investigation kind of works through itself. So we'll continue to follow that. I do believe we are going to go to the debate presser that we actually dipped into, or I'm sorry, the Catawba News presser, that we had a little bit earlier today. And the one thing that I do want to point out that you will see from this is the literal outrage and just the nonsensical take to this, in some sense, that police are just fed up with the violence and something like this, understandably so, after a person was killed at this party. So we'll go to this as more information was given to us earlier today.
Start whenever you're ready, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Catawba County Sheriff Don Brown. Before Garen Killian's bond hearing today, I had a message to share with you about my gratitude for what all these law enforcement agencies are doing to help us investigate this tragic case. But now, I want to say that I am outraged. The first suspect we arrested in connection with this mass shooting was given a $200,000 bond. 3 days ago, I said at the press briefing that I'm sorry, that my responsibility as sheriff is to protect the lives and the property of the citizens of Catawba County. Now I stand before you today and tell you how difficult that is. As the sheriff of Catawba County, how can I, better yet, how can we, all law enforcement, protect the lives and property of our citizens when someone already charged with 7 counts of attempted murder, 3 counts of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, get out of jail on bond? I believe he should have never been back on the street after Hickory Police Department charged him with those crimes. He bonded out of jail on April 14th. 48 days later, all of our lives changed. This is frustrating. It's infuriating. But despite my disappointment about this bond, this investigation continues. And I want our great community to know that to this hour, there have been 12 law enforcement agencies working hand in hand, pursuing leads and developing suspects. They are interviewing witnesses, collecting evidence, and processing an extensive crime scene. They have worked continuously since the call came in Sunday morning. The investigation thus far has spanned over 6 counties. There are facets of the investigation that are time-sensitive and fast-paced, and there are others, such as crime scene processing, which are slow and methodical so that we make sure that we get it right. The complete disregard for life by the individuals involved affects not only the victims and the people directly involved, it affects people throughout our community and well beyond that. This is evident by the calls, the posts on social media, and the conversations I've had with our citizens. But what I already know, but has been repeatedly confirmed, is that our community is amazing. The overwhelming support that we as law enforcement have received is incredible. For that, I thank our community. In closing, I commit to you, our citizens, that the law enforcement team assembled in this case will continue to work aggressively and continuously until everyone, and I mean everyone, responsible for these senseless crimes that shook our community to the core are arrested, charged, and prosecuted. Chief Bear.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good afternoon. My name is Reed Bear, and I am the City of Hickory Police Chief. I'm going to echo some of what Sheriff Brown just said. It is beyond frustrating that someone with pending charges for multiple counts of attempted murder is out in the community in the first place. It is unimaginable that this same person can then be charged with additional charges from a separate incident to include attempted murder and could be out in our community tonight. We are regularly asked by our community members why should they come forward with information about crimes being committed if the person is just going to be back in the neighborhood. And in cases like this one, it leaves me with no answer for them. Despite that, the Hickory Police Department from the beginning has worked with the Sheriff's Office and our federal and state partners. We will continue to work alongside the Catawba County Sheriff's Office and our local, state, and federal partners to bring all the individuals responsible for this heinous act to justice. We are very lucky that we have the close partnerships we do in Catawba County. And with the community's help, it will be these partnerships that lead to the successful outcome of this investigation. I'm going to turn it over now to Major Aaron Turk.
Thank you, Chief Bear. Thank you all in the media for coming. I'm going to give you an update on our investigation at present and hopefully some forecast on where it's going. We'll certainly take questions at the end. If I don't get something that you're hoping to hear, please ask. As you already know, we've made an arrest in the case. You've heard a lot about Garrett Killian. That arrest is for attempted first-degree murder. We're also now announcing that we have a charge of attempted first-degree murder on Tolan Huff. Huff is not in custody. We're looking for Mr. Huff, asking for the public's assistance in finding Mr. Huff, and we're asking the media to broadcast Huff's image and the outstanding charge so that he can be located.
Can you step aside just for a second?
I'd be happy to.
Sorry for interrupting.
That's a good thing. To everybody get what they need. Okay. Also, we're going to announce today charges that are filed by North Carolina Alcohol Law Enforcement Division. They are going to offer specifics on those charges. Concerning the status of the investigation, as you've heard, it's a mass shooting. Been over 80 shots fired at that location. The FBI is still on the crime scene, working bullet trajectory. It's, in my experience, one of the most complex, probably the most complex shooting investigation I've ever seen or been any part of. And it's vital that we understand where every shot was fired from, if that's possible, and what the intended target of that shooter was, if possible, and then who was the actual target or the recipient of that gunfire, person to person. As we establish that and gather competent evidence, we are in near constant consultation with our district attorney's office about charges. And we're filing charges that we feel like at this point are substantive and that our district attorney's office can take to court immediately and support by way of facts. Again, the FBI is still working on bullet trajectory at the crime scene. I don't know when they're going to be finished. I understand that work, again, is ongoing. We're going to travel out there and get an update on that here in the coming days. We do expect additional charges in this case, multiple persons, multiple charges. The gentlemen that have been charged and Mr. Killian that's been arrested will also be facing additional charges. One last thing, and then I'll eventually take your questions at the end. As you know, there's been a homicide in this mass violence event. We are looking at that homicide along with all of the other injured parties. We've received questions, and they're understandable questions, about why we have not charged someone in the homicide yet. Again, we have to be able to account for every shot, the shooter, and the intended recipients and the actual recipients of those shots before we can discern who might be responsible for the homicide in this situation. I'll be back later for your questions. Special Reporter.
Good afternoon. Special Agent in Charge Porter with North Carolina Alcohol Law Enforcement. We are announcing today that arrest warrants have been obtained for 2 individuals. They are the individuals believed to be responsible for organizing and hosting the party. The first one is for Mr. Raekwon Craig. He's been charged with 3 counts of aiding and abetting underage possession of alcohol.
Sorry.
All right.
Okay. There you go, sorry.
You see that one? And the other arrest warrant, similar for Mr. Patrick Tolbert, same 3 charges of aiding and abetting.
We don't have that.
Don't have the second,
We
okay.
don't have that picture available.
That's all right. We can get that to
on
you.
release.
But it's the same charge as 3 counts of aiding and abetting underage possession of alcohol by a person over the age of 21. I'll keep my comments brief, and then I can answer any questions at the end.
Good afternoon. My name is James Barnacle. I'm the Special Agent in charge of the Federal Bureau of Investigation here in North Carolina. First, the law enforcement coordination on this investigation has been nothing short of astounding. I want to thank our partners at Catawba County Sheriff's Office and Hickory Police Department and the State Bureau of Investigation and Alcohol Enforcement, along as many other law enforcement agencies that have stepped in and helped on this investigation. The partners here are partners for the long haul. We are not in it for just this situation. We are in to work together to address crime across this country. When we got the call from Catawba County, we surged resources to assist the county with the evidence response team, investigators, agents, intelligence analysts, and scientists. Once the news of this tragic situation was relayed to the director of the FBI, Director Kash Patel, he called me Sunday and asked if the FBI or the local and state authorities needed additional resources. He surged lab personnel from Quantico down here to do a trajectory analysis of the crime scene. Director Patel also reiterated the FBI's top priority is to crush violent crime in the United States, and we will work on that here in North Carolina. The FBI has been working on the Walnut Acres road scene. We expect to wrap up our work this afternoon or evening. What we have been primarily working on is, as you have heard, we are processing evidence and we are looking for the trajectory of rounds. Let me add some perspective of why we have been there for 4 days. You've already heard at least 80 bullets were fired. Our teams are working to trace the trajectory of every single round. Once someone makes the choice to pull the trigger of a weapon, the bullet does not care where it goes. Our job is to trace where it came from and where it stopped. The FBI is uniquely qualified for this crucially important task of gathering evidence. In this case, sadly, gunfire hit victims. Other bullets went into the house, through fences, skipped off concrete, hit vehicles, and even burrowed into the ground. I was just out at the scene a little while ago this morning, late this morning, and our evidence response team has put lasers and scopes and trajectory. There's a lot of science behind it, but we will account for the vast majority of the rounds, including the round itself and fragments. We have recovered rounds from the scene. Finally, to the District Attorney's Office, the United States Attorney's Office for the Western District of North Carolina, to the citizens here in North Carolina, people will be held accountable for these heinous crimes. The FBI will work with our partners. We will continue to partner to address the violent crime here in the state of North Carolina. I will now turn this over to the State Bureau of Investigation.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Laws. I'm the Special Agent in charge with the State Bureau of Investigation in the Northwestern District. As you know, the SBI was requested by the Sheriff's Office on Sunday, and since Sunday and that day forward, there have been agents on the ground all across Western North Carolina from 4 different districts and multiple counties, from crime scene agents to investigators to other individuals with specialized skill sets that have assisted in this investigation and will continue. All resources at the disposal of the SBI and the state of North Carolina will be available here for this investigation, and we will be here until the end. Director Hawley's here and has assured us that we have whatever we need to assist our local partners, whether it's Hickory, Catawba County, any of the federal agencies, to make sure that the people are held accountable for these crimes that they have committed. These crimes are heinous, and having grown up in this community, are unbelievable. I agree with the chief and the sheriff that it's hard for us to go out, spend countless hours around the clock, arrest these people, and then they're back in the community. But rest assured, the SBI and all of these partners that you see up here will not stop until those are held accountable, are arrested. Thank you.
All right, I'll take your questions. Before we begin that, if you have a question for a specific agency other than the Sheriff's Office, we can get another of the representatives up here, but I'll start. Dave Fairdy.
Aaron, with the help from the FBI and them doing all the analysis out there, do you have a better picture on how many different weapons and people might have been involved in this gunfire now?
That picture is becoming more clear. Again, you've heard a lot about the trajectory work by the FBI. That's been invaluable. We understand there's multiple shooters. Again, you've heard multiple rounds. The last count I was given was 80, at least, that have been confirmed. We can tell you now that the shooting began from a neighboring yard that was an elevated position from the house where the crime scene is now being investigated. In response to that initial gunfire, other gunfire erupted from around the home itself and out into the front yard and by the roadway there on Walnut Acres Drive. We're trying to determine if that gunfire was initiated and then second gunfire was directly responsive, or if other shootings were taking place during that time. That's going to take us a while to discern, but as you've heard, we're going to find those answers and bring those people to justice.
Quick follow on that. So up on that hillside, at least one person was shooting down. Do you know how many people were up on that hillside shooting down at the party goers?
The evidence shows there were multiple people on that. I think you're referring to it as a hillside. We don't have an exact count to offer as I stand here, but more than one.
And the types of weapons, have you figured that out?
We're not releasing that right now. Yes, ma'am.
Do we know whether Sean Hood, the homicide victim, was the intended target?
We do not know if he was the primary target or perhaps even a sole target. He certainly was victimized in this, and certainly him and his family have suffered the most traumatic victimization from this. He certainly was a target, and again, as I talk about intended victims or intended recipients of gunfire than the actual recipients, we're working to discern if Mr. Hood was an intended target or just a victim that suffered his death during that tragedy. Yes, ma'am.
And where do you place Killian in all of this? As far as, was he in the yard? Was he, as far as for the attendant?
Garen Killian. Garen Killian, our evidence is telling us, is among the persons responsible for the hillside shooting. We are looking at him, Mr. Huff, and others for that seemingly uninitiated and unprovoked attack. We're not going to offer specifics about suspects' involvement and by way of direct action at this time. I can tell you, though, from my understanding, that Mr. Killian, Garen Killian, and Tolan Huff are at least two of the defendants that have been charged in the City of Hickory shooting there at the closed party city. And so they're involved in that, and then now they're involved in this. Yes, ma'am.
Was that, so do you believe that that April shooting was connected?
We're not seeing any evidence right now of a direct connection, but we certainly hadn't ruled that out. Dave?
So the killing guy and the other guy that had the picture up with the charges, the single charge,
right,
for the attempted. Do you think that those two, have you found that they were at the party prior to this? Something might have happened, they left and then came back.
We're hearing that, and we're trying to discern their exact movements and timeline. I can't offer articulate information on that as I stand here right now. I want to make sure that I get everybody. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Can you tell us anything about a motive or why the shooting took place yet?
We're certainly investigating and trying to discern the motive. We can tell you that some of these people are affiliated with gangs. They've made those admissions to us themselves. We do not know if this incident was a gang act in its entirety, or that some of the people involved are affiliated in gangs. We're working that as a motive and then other possibilities. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any clarity around if either Huff or Killian were the initial shooters?
I can't answer that with exacting determination as I stand here, but they were on the hillside when the initiation of the shooting began. Yes, ma'am.
Were the majority of the people at the party over 21 or under 21? I don't know if that's a better question for ALE.
I'm going to let ALE address that. And any alcohol-related questions or party promotion questions will be alcohol law enforcement. He's over here. Sir, go ahead.
Would you mind repeating your question for me?
Were the majority of the people at the party over 21 or under 21?
Can't say what the majority were, but we know that there were numerous underage and several juveniles as well. Yes, ma'am.
Is Patrick Tolbert considered a resident of the 1125 Walnut Acres tribe?
That is one that I will defer to Major Turk in the Sheriff's Office for right now. Yes, sir.
Could you please tell us how many people were shot?
I will also defer that to Major Turk.
He answers the alcohol-related questions and the party promotion questions.
Yes, sir.
And on the party promotion, and what do we know about that party? Where was it promoted? Who was the target audience?
So it seems that those details are still coming in, but that a lot of this is shared on social media, and that these move around. And a reason that we try to address these is that they are a common cause for violence like this. Just in this year alone, since January, we've investigated 9 such events where an organizer or promoter has coordinated an illegal alcohol event. And in most of those, ALE agents have uncovered alcohol violations, but also other serious criminal activity like narcotics and firearms. So we're very happy to work with Sheriff here and all the other partners to hopefully be able to prevent some of these things. Yes, sir.
Do we believe that the homeowners, whoever owned this property, received payment or compensation of some sort to host this party?
We're still working to figure that out right now. Yes, ma'am.
Those who were charged for this underage drinking, have they been arrested yet?
The 2 that I announced there, no, their arrest warrants are active, and we're seeking them at this time.
So as of right now, Killian's the only one arrested, right?
I'll let the Major confirm that.
Did you believe anybody else was responsible for promotion, or do you think that the 2 that were arrested are the ones?
Charged.
Yeah.
We are certainly pursuing that to try to get anybody that is involved and responsible. Those 2 arrest warrants have been issued due to the facts that we believe allege their involvement in it.
Now,
Do you believe Mr. Hood was at all responsible for promotion or?
Still working to figure that out, and I'll refer it back to Major Turk.
what's
Thank
the
you.
party promotion question? Do people pay to get into the party?
We're trying to figure that out. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, who hadn't asked a question yet? Anybody that hadn't got a yes, sir?
Could you tell us, Major, how many people were shot?
We have, I believe, 8 to 10 confirmed persons that suffered gunshots, and then others that were injured, perhaps they were fleeing or otherwise there during the gunfire, but not actually suffering gunshots. Yes, sir.
Are any of those injured still in the hospital currently?
I don't have that information as I'm up here right now. All right, that's going to be it for questions. Thank you.
And one more question.
While we were playing this, we just got an update in this situation. Again, Jesse Pierre telling us that this man who was wanted less than really 20 minutes ago was arrested. This is Patrick Lee Tolbert. He has 3 counts, aiding and abetting a person under 21 years of age by allowing the possession of alcoholic beverages, which is the same charge that Raekwon Malik Craig was arrested on. So interesting stuff. And then we know that Garen Killian is already in police custody, arrested. He was the first one arrested. Attempted first-degree murder is his charge. And Keandre O'Neal Mack and Toland Huff, who are both wanted, are charged with the exact same thing. But an update here, as they were looking for Patrick Lee Tolbert, they finally have arrested this person for aiding and abetting. As you can see, 3 of the 5 suspects have been arrested. 2 still wanted. That's Keandre O'Neal Mack and Toland Huff. We did see that President Trump did have a summer soiree today. There was a lot going on in Washington on his big, beautiful bill and the budget that is ahead, but he took a chance to do this summer soiree as an annual thing that they do at the White House. So we'll go to this as they happened a little bit earlier.
I'll see you tonight. I'll see you tonight. And I've been so busy between Iran, Russia, China, and every other problem that we were left that I'm saying, what the hell is happening tonight? And then I said, I'm seeing a lot of thousands of my friends tonight. But I want to thank the members of the cabinet in particular. They've been unbelievable. We have a great cabinet. You see the results every single time. Let me also give a big round of applause and welcome to our new White House interns. This is the very first day on their job. Really great. Julian Nicholas, where's Julian? Where are you, Julian? Are you out there someplace? I think so. Where's Julian? Where? Oh, look at him. Oh, is that? Wow. Good. You ever hear of the great Jack Nicholas? This is his grandson, right? I immediately said, get him on board because he's got great genes. You can't get better than that. And you know, especially so your grandmother, okay? Barbara, who's fantastic. So good luck. You're going to do very well. Thank you, Julian. Very good. Say hello. I wish I could play golf like Jack Nicklaus. It just didn't work out that way. But 6 months ago, we had a nation that was as cold as ice. It was cold. The whole world was laughing at us. And they're not laughing anymore, that I can tell you now, because of the people here tonight. We have the hottest, most talked about country anywhere in the world. I went to the Middle East, we went to Qatar, Saudi Arabia, we went to UAE, we went to 3 stops, we brought back $5.1 trillion. Think of that. 5.1, they ordered massive amounts of military equipment, regular equipment, 200 Boeing aircraft, and we got one for free for the nation. You've been hearing that. The United States Air Force got one for free. I say I'd like one because we need it as Air Force One until the other ones are done. And they said we would be pleased to give you. So they gave us a Boeing 747 for the United States Air Force. And it's just incredible. The press picked it up and they said, he got a plane. I didn't get a plane, they got a plane. But that's the way it is. You're going to get to know as you deal with the fake news, and then eventually you'll get to love them. Maybe. I doubt it. Actually, I doubt it. But I want to just tell you some of the numbers that just came out. Rasmussen, a majority of Americans now believe our country is on the right track for the first time in 28 years. Think of that. First time in 28 years. That's something. And think of the achievement. And we did that in 4 months. You know, we haven't been here long, 4 months, and we're going to do a lot better than that. But who would think that for 28 years they thought we were on the wrong track? Because I know one thing, that 4 years ago, during our term, we were on the right track. We were doing a great job. And we had one of the most successful, that was one of the most successful terms ever. Then we had a little problem where they rigged an election, and then we came back. And this is bigger, better, stronger than ever before. This one is far bigger than it would have been. This is really something what's happened. We've created over 500,000 new jobs in a short period of time, secured nearly $15 trillion, new dollars, new investments that are going into our country. And if you notice, the inflation report came out this morning. We're at about 2% inflation. Can you believe it? And very importantly, because the people were devastated, the last administration, in my opinion, the most unsuccessful administration maybe in the history of our country. Grocery prices went through the roof. Well, grocery prices now are down. You remember they were talking about eggs. My first week in office, the press was screaming about eggs. Eggs have gone up 287%. I said, I'm sorry, I just got here. And the eggs went up. Now the eggs are down at the same price they were. We got them all the way down. And we had, 3 weeks ago for Easter, we had an egg hunt, an egg roll they called it. And they said, sir, could you order, a couple of months ago, could you order plastic eggs? I said, we're not ordering plastic eggs. And by the time we had the event, eggs were all the way down. But think of it, grocery prices are down, gasoline prices are down, and we're down just in time. $1, we had numerous states, $1.98 a gallon, just in time for Memorial Day weekend. How about that? Good timing. You know, this all inures to you because you're all with us. This is a family. This is really a family. So when I do good, you do good. When we do good, we do good together. That's the way I want it. Incomes are soaring, and in April, we achieved the largest drop in consumer prices, the largest increase in consumer confidence, both of them, in many, many years. In one case, we've never had such a drop. It's never been like this. We've never had this kind of success. I just hope it keeps going. You know, you do need a little luck, too. You know that. And sometimes you need a little prayer, maybe all the time. We need a little bit of a prayer. But we're going to keep it going. In a single month, we also cut the trade deficit in half by 50%. Do you believe that one? You don't hear that too much on the news. They don't like to tell you those things. In a matter of weeks, we slashed the number of illegal border crossings released into the United States down to practically nothing. 3 people got in. 3. We had hundreds of thousands, and 3 people equates to 99.999%. How's that, good? I couldn't reach 100%, I'm sorry. And of the 3 people, I have to tell you, 2 of them were a medical emergencies, okay? So I'm going to say 1 person got in. That was a piece of work, I guess. I'd like to meet that guy. I'd like to meet the guy that got in. Peacetime enlistment numbers. This is something we're all really proud of. It's a big deal. Peacetime enlistment numbers for every branch of our military, every single branch, are at the highest levels in modern history. And 7 months ago, we had the worst, think of this, this is done in 6 or 7 months. 7 months ago, we had the worst numbers in recorded history. Nobody wanted to join the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard. Nobody wanted, or our police. Our police are likewise through the roof. 6, 7 months ago, they couldn't fill a position. You couldn't fill it in the military. Now it's hot as a pistol. We have the best numbers. Think of that. The best numbers in a short period of time in modern history. And that's something I'm very proud of. And that's because the people of our country, you love our country, you were devastated to see what was happening, and now you're thrilled to see what's happening because we have a hot one and we love it. We've achieved more in 4 months than most administrations have achieved in 4 years or 8 years, and none of this would have been possible without you. You're the ones that are really doing it. You're the ones that are making it happen. You really are. And someday, one of you, maybe 2 of you or 3 of you, will be standing right here saying very similar words. I hope you're saying similar words. But that's a real possibility because there really is this greatness in this crowd. There's greatness. You might not even know that, but there's greatness in this crowd. The caliber of talent we've assembled is unparalleled. And this is really the strongest, most talented team that we've had, and I think that this government has had in a long time and maybe ever. I really think this could be the best team. We worked hard on it. In just 135 days, we've hired over 3,200 patriots to deliver on the mandate that we received in November. November 5th, we want to go down as one of the most important days in the history of our country. That's Election Day. We're going to make it the most important day. And as of tonight, we filled 91% of our political appointments, and I tell you, we have a waiting list likewise. We have a big waiting list of people that want to come over, work here with you, work in the White House. Every single department, every single agency has a waiting list of people that want to come in and be with us. The Department of Veteran Affairs has achieved already 100% staffing, all with people that we want. Really great people. The Department of Defense, Commerce, and Treasury is over 90% of the political hires. They're complete. It's a record at this time, so early. And the Departments of Homeland Security, Health and Human Services, Labor are all over and up to about 95% already. So I want to thank the great Chief of Staff, most powerful woman anywhere in the world, they say. She got the most powerful woman in the world. One phone call and a group of people, I better not say it, I was going to say one phone call and the country is wiped out, but we're not going to say that. Because we're a peace-loving nation. We are a peace-loving nation. Susie Wiles, where are you, Susie? No, she's great. And Sergio, thank you for the great job that you did. I appreciate it, Sergio. Sergio Gore. They've done a really amazing job. Susie, I'll tell you what, she's the first woman chief of staff in the history of our country. And I'm surprised to hear that. And I watch those men, and she watches over them, and if they get a little bit out of line, they may be big shots, defense, they may be in commerce, they may be the biggest. They're scared of her, they're afraid. They don't want her coming after them. But now she's been incredible. First woman chief of staff in the history of our country. Isn't that great? I'm surprised to hear that, actually, but that's the way it is. But most importantly, let me thank all of the appointees for your tireless efforts to deliver our promises and to put very simple words towards America first. It's all about putting America first. And by the way, we're going to help other countries, but first we have to straighten out our country. Don't you think so? And it's not going to take too long. A very special thanks as well to your spouses and children, families and loved ones for the support that you've given us. And we're saving our country. This would have been a country, we were a country in shambles, and now we're a country that is just in love with itself, in love with its people, and everybody's talking about it. And it's such an honor to be involved with you. And without you, it wouldn't be happening, because together we've begun the golden age of America. This is now the golden age of America. It's a beautiful term and a beautiful country. And we're going to make our nation safer and stronger and prouder, richer, freer, and greater than ever before. And I can give you my word, I'm going to work so hard. We're going to work harder than any president's ever worked. We have to, because we got off to a little rough start. They gave us a very bad hand. And we've taken that bad hand and we've turned it into the best hand you can get, and you're the reasons why. And I want to thank you. We love you all. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good time. Don't eat too much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Earlier today, we had two Democratic representatives from the House, Democratic leadership, actually. Representative Pete Aguilar, yes, and Representative Ted Lieu, both from California. They were discussing a number of different things, but really the focus was on this big, beautiful bill, what this could do to Americans, especially those who are Medicare and Medicaid, because there's been talks about what could happen in terms of if this budget bill is passed, who would have insurance going forward and who might lose it. So we'll go to this now. It happened a little bit earlier, but some interesting points of information to glean from this.
Let me begin by saying that our caucus heard an update on the situation in Boulder, Colorado, and the horrendous attack that injured 12 innocent people. Anti-Semitism has no place in American life, and we stand with the Jewish community in this difficult hour and always. Republicans in Congress don't care if your health care is too expensive, and they don't care if you can't afford your medical bills. They voted for what Elon Musk called a disgusting abomination, a Republican budget that throws millions of Americans off of their health insurance. Republicans don't care if their tariffs are raising your prices across the board and making it harder to make ends meet. They voted to take away food assistance for families, seniors, and veterans, and they'll continue to reward billionaire donors who keep them in office with tax breaks so they can hold on to power. They're getting rich off of the stock trades while working people worry about losing their jobs. When confronted with the truth, they often just lie. Or they show their true colors, like one Republican senator did by dismissing concerns that Medicaid cuts might lead to unnecessary deaths as a result of their disgusting abomination, kicking millions off of their health care. We're all going to die, she said. That is the Republican health care plan in a nutshell. And that's why Republicans can't be trusted to make your health care or anything else more affordable for working families. Vice Chair Ted Lieu.
Thank you, Chairman Aguilar. I also condemn the horrific terrorist attack in Boulder, Colorado. About a dozen people were burned, some critically. because of a terrorist who threw essentially Molotov cocktails at a group of Jewish Americans. And let me just be clear. Hamas is a genocidal, homicidal, extreme terrorist organization who attacked Israel, not the other way around. And now Jewish Americans in America are fearing for their safety because of folks who are committing brazen acts of anti-Semitism. We need to call it out when we see it, and I urge that the person be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law who committed this heinous terrorist attack. I'd like to now talk about Senator Joni Ernst's statement that we all are going to die. She is correct that we all are going to die, but it shouldn't be at the hands of Republican legislation. And the Republicans' big, ugly bill is going to cause unnecessary death. So then Senator Ernst doubled down on her statement and did a video of herself walking through a cemetery, again talking about what she said, and then she ended by citing Jesus. So I'm just a simple Catholic. But let me just tell you, I actually read the Gospels, and Jesus goes around healing people. That's what he does, right? He heals a woman who was blind. He heals a person who had leprosy. He heals a person who was paralyzed. 41 acts of healing in the Gospels. That's what Jesus did in terms of acts. So it's exactly the opposite of what Senator Ernst is saying. And call me old-fashioned, but I think the goal of government is not to hasten the deaths of Americans. It is to make the lives of Americans better. And clearly this big, ugly bill is not going to do that. And now we see some Republican members who are opposed to it because guess what? They didn't read the bill. So Marjorie Taylor Greene yesterday opposes a provision which is a 10-year moratorium on states regulating artificial intelligence. So I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene once every 100 years. This is that time. I agree that this 10-year provision is extreme. It's going to cause unnecessary harm. And look, I think the federal government is fine doing preemption when we preempt with something. You can't just preempt with nothing. And this is a bad provision, and I hope the Senate will take out this 10-year moratorium.
Thank you, Ted. Questions?
A couple of your ranking members, Congresswoman Craig and Congressman Krishnamurthy, as well as some fairly senior members, are leaving the House to run for higher office. I'm just curious if you see this as an opportunity for any sort of sea change in the House, or just opportunities for kind of ambitious House members who maybe haven't had them.
I think Vice Chair Lou and I have had the privilege of serving with a lot of members who have moved on to other jobs within public service, whether that's our former colleague and the Attorney General, Javier Becerra, to Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. Members are going to seek opportunities to serve their constituents in different ways. That's the blessing of being a House member, is folks will take opportunities. And then last cycle, obviously, we saw different opportunities with now Senator Andy Kim and Senator Gallego, Senator Slotkin, right, all coming from Lisa Blunt Rochester, all coming from the House. We take a lot of pride in that, the fact that we have some friends over there who used to be House members. So we take it as an opportunity for renewal, to hear from the perspectives of new members, those new members who replaced our former colleagues. But then personally, it's a point of pride that we now have the ability to bounce ideas off of folks in the other chamber. I said other chamber, not upper chamber, by the way, when we talk about the U.S. Senate. So I look, this is an opportunity for us to continue to benefit from new ideas of those new members and build on existing relationships for those folks who have moved on to other jobs. Michael?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's a debate in the Senate right now over Russia's sanctions package. Lindsey Graham, Richard Blumenthal are trying to push Leader Thune to bring that particular bill to the floor. I wanted to get the caucus's thoughts on imposing additional sanctions on Russia. And what do you make of the president's shift in tone towards Vladimir Putin? He's put out some recent, Truth Social posts saying that he's surprised by, Putin's unwillingness to engage in good faith peace talks. I want to get your thoughts on that.
I think many of us in Capitol Hill warned him in dealing with Vladimir Putin. And I think that you're seeing that now. This seems like the upside down, right? Donald Trump's former friends and Vladimir Putin and Elon Musk are now not besties. I can't keep track of it anymore. But Russia is a threat. We have voted for sanctions for Russia previously. We continue to view it through the lens of national security, and we will be willing and ready to make deliberations and votes if there are packages and proposals. But I think right now the effort that the Senate is undertaking is more of an effort to get Donald Trump to be supportive of Russian sanctions than it is to get the House of Representatives to be supportive of Russian sanctions. They clearly are trying to work Donald Trump to get to this position, and we'll see what happens in the weeks to come.
Vladimir Putin has repeatedly said that Ukraine is a part of Russia. And Putin attacked Ukraine, Crimea, and then when there was not a good response from the West, he attacked again Ukraine a second time. And my view is Putin will not stop until his troops are defeated on the battlefield. And I urge the Trump administration to understand that fact. And I believe the best way to get Putin to the negotiating table is to apply maximum pressure in terms of sanctions, give Ukraine what they need to defeat Russian troops on the battlefield, and then we'll get Putin to the negotiating table.
Nick?
There's a number of your members who are speaking at this Welcome Fest this week, kind of blue dog types. Is it helpful to your party trying to come together for these folks to be going so far out on an ideological limb?
It's helpful for members of our party to meet with outside voices to talk about an agenda that puts working families first. And that's how I viewed those discussions, which is what is our strategy as a party to put working families first? How do we lower the costs that people face? Clearly, we're united against this one ugly bill that House Republicans passed that is now over in the Senate. And we will clearly work on different items to lower the costs that people face. We've talked often about those, child tax credit, low-income housing credit, all of these pieces that are so instrumental in helping working families get forward. So I think that that's always important to huddle with colleagues and friends and stakeholders to make sure that we're on the same page. And that's how I viewed the conference, but I wasn't there.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. The Republicans were just in here. They blamed Democrats and immigration policies for the attack in Boulder, specifically because this individual was here illegally. Do you wish that Democrats over the last 4 years had handled the immigration issue differently?
I think right now we're thinking about the 12 people who have injuries as a result of the attack. I'm sure there will be opportunities to dig deeper on the status of the individual who perpetrated this heinous act. I don't think it was hours before Republicans were already sounding the alarm about immigration policies, closely tying it to this attack. There'll be opportunities to dig deeper in his status. Obviously, we believe that it's not okay to overstay a visa, but let's understand the facts before we make declarations, and let's think about the folks, including one or two that are in critical condition, before we start injecting the Republican talking points on the political side. Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
Thank you. So coming up, you have the oversight ranking member race that's going to be a big deal in the Democratic caucus, and it's kind of another pivotal moment for the party to determine who's going to be the next leader of this powerful committee and whether they go with somebody younger who's eager and has a lot of energy versus someone who has a lot of experience. And I know you've talked before about the caucus weighing several different things when you're picking a new member. What are things that the caucus is going to be looking at, and what do you think should be the quality of the next ranking member?
The caucus will have the opportunity to weigh that and vote. The vice chair and I noticed the election for 3 weeks from now at our regularly scheduled caucus meetings. Our expectation is that the 4 candidates will make their way to meet with members, and this will give them ample opportunity to do that.
We do have a response from the NCGOP, the leadership here in North Carolina. We'll go to that now, as they were speaking against this big, beautiful bill, just like the representatives you just heard.
Until week 7, if you can believe, of those court proceedings. We'll continue to keep you updated on the very latest with that trial. Meantime, we want to come back closer to the Carolinas because we shared with you in our last hour of coverage here on Live Impact News, live images of North Carolina Dems protesting outside of Senator Thom Tillis's office. And this is regarding the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill. We heard local Democrats urging Senator Tillis to vote no against this measure, and we heard them explaining some of their take, their concerns, they say, with cuts to Medicaid, cuts to SNAP, and they say this is something that only really will benefit the wealthy. We wanted to bring in NCGOP to get the other side here. Let's bring in Matt Mercer with North Carolina GOP. Matt, thanks so much for joining us here on Live Impact News.
Yeah, great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking the time. So, of course, we kind of explained in brief some of the messaging we heard from NC Dems in the last hour. We know that they're protesting outside of Senator Tillis's office until 3:30. This is all related to the One Big Beautiful Bill. Now, I guess depending on which Republicans you ask, there might be more support and there might be less support on, once again, depending on who you ask. How does NCGOP see this piece of legislation, and are you fully in support of this bill? And if not, are there any tweaks that you might see, since we know that tweaks could be on the table now that it's in the Senate?
Sure. The One Big Beautiful Bill is really a great piece of legislation, and we do know that the Senate will leave their imprint on it, as they say. But by and large, I think when you see every Republican member from North Carolina supporting the House version, it's a strong bill. What it does is it prevents the largest tax increase in American history. Your viewers watching now would likely see their taxes go up if this bill does not pass. I don't think anyone wants to see that happen. But also some of the other things in the bill, things like no tax on overtime, no tax on tips, the one.
All right, not to cut this off early, but we do have this streaming over on WCNC Plus. If you want to listen in, go back to this at any point in time. You can do that really with anything that we've had on WCNC Plus. We will see you at 11 o'clock. Vanessa Rufus and I will take over the news on our linear show then. See you then.